Hey folks, so if you've understood me correctly so far in this video series, you'll know that eczema is caused by stress and primarily digestive stress. So digestion is just another stress that the body is subjected to, just like lack of sleep, just like financial stress, pressure at work, that kind of thing. So in this video, we're going to talk about the other lifestyle factors that come into play in causing your body to push additional toxin out through the skin. So in previous videos, we talked about digestive stress being the number one stress. So go back and watch those videos if you haven't watched them yet. But this video now deals with the other factors that are less important, but still need addressing in order to heal your body from eczema. People talk to me about atopic dermatitis. They talk about seborrheic dermatitis. They talk about dyshidrotic eczema, all these different types of things, acne, boils. They're all the same root cause. It's additional toxin that is making its way out through the body vicariously, so through the skin, instead of through the designed elimination routes, i.e. the kidneys, the liver, the bowel. Regardless of what eczema you have, it's the same root cause, and so all of the things that I talk about should be addressed if you suffer from any of the above. So let's talk about some of the ways in which chemicals can creep into our lives. The number one way really is inorganic food that we're eating, where it's sprayed with all sorts of toxic chemicals in order to preserve it, in order to produce more, keep the bugs off, and it's essentially so that they can maximize profit gains from fruits and vegetables. Bathing and showering is another area where chemicals can creep into our lives, not just from the water, the chemicals that are added to the water, because a lot of water suppliers add chlorine, fluoride, and these other pretty harmful things, but also from our shower gels, and the chemicals that are contained in those things can actually leach into our body if they're left on our skin for any period of time. So I strongly recommend, particularly when you're healing from eczema, that you don't use anything on your skin at all. So that includes when you're showering and bathing. Maybe if you have to use just a little bit of something in the essential areas, then by all means do that, but wash it off quickly and keep the showers short and tepid, and try and just limit the amount of chemicals that your body is subjected to in those areas. The same thing applies to lotions, moisturizers, all those types of things. Look at the ingredients list, and if there's things on that ingredients list that you wouldn't use in your cooking in the kitchen, then don't put it on your skin, because it will be absorbed by the skin ultimately, and those chemicals will become part of you and will just be adding to your toxic load that the body has to detoxify from. The other area where chemicals can find their way into your skin is through the washing powder or detergent that you're using to wash your clothes, because some of those chemicals will stay on the clothing and will be coming into contact with your skin and just could cause you more problems. What I would say is, when you're fully healed, this won't really be an issue anymore, because your body's going to be able to handle the odd chemical contamination. I mean, we've got to live in the world, haven't we? So don't worry too much about those things once you're healed. But like I've said, desperate times call for desperate measures. So you want to do more when you're at the healing stage. You want to be as clean as possible, as chemical free, as organic as possible whilst you're healing, to give your body that time just to detoxify and to heal itself without being interrupted by the influx of new toxin. The final thing to mention here is water hardness. Some of you may not know what that is, but it's essentially the amount of calcium and magnesium ions that are found in your local water supply. It's a completely natural thing. So some areas have hard water, some areas have soft water. It's actually to do with the type of landscape close to where you live. So if you live in quite a rocky, mountainous area, water will flow off really quickly and not have time to dissolve any minerals. Whereas if you live in a really flat area that's quite chalky, water will sit on the ground and just percolate down through the ground slowly and dissolve all of these different minerals, which find their way ultimately into your water supply, and so ends up in your showering water too. There's been a complaint around for years by eczema sufferers who live in hard water areas, because hard water is known for just drying out the skin more than naturally soft water. Now, there's something called a water softener, which uses salt to artificially soften water, so it removes the calcium magnesium ions. By the way, the only reason I know all this is because I've worked as a water treatment engineer for a number of years. A typical water softener for a house is a fairly small sort of cabinet device which may sit under your kitchen sink or somewhere close to your water supply, and will be softening the water before it flows off to the water outlets. The benefit of this can be you just use less, you end up having to use less detergent. So, like I talked about with the chemicals in the detergents that you're using when you're washing, you won't have to use as much because soft water tends to lather up much quicker with smaller amounts of detergent. And it will also dry your skin out less, which is better, just much better for eczema sufferers. I recommend fitting a water softener in your house if you can afford to do so. But if you can't, then really don't worry too much about that. Just do the best you can do with what you've got. I've got to say, if you're doing the diet and you're doing the lifestyle and you're doing the enemas and you're doing the raw garlic and everything else that I recommend in my program, you won't need to worry too much about the things that you're applying topically to your skin. So the main thing to get right is the things that you're doing internally to your body, because these are the things that are ultimately going to make you eczema free and are going to keep you eczema free long term.